Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian and his trusty sidekick.
Hello. You sound weird, like.
Did I?
Vespasian.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, Russian infantry are now in front of you. These troops are crossbowmen. Not that easy doing crossbowmen for the Russians because you don't get crossbows in the Russian army box. Which is rather annoying because the Russians use large amounts of crossbows, so I kind of expected it. So I had to use, if you look, the arms and the crossbows from the sergeant's box, which was okay because we've got loads of sergeants and loads of spare crossbows, so it actually turned out alright in the end. So these are Russian crossbows. The Russians did use quite a lot of crossbows. The Russian bow was effectively a short bow. It wasn't a particularly long range weapon. The crossbow gave them a lot more range to their firepower. So it's useful. And also, given that the Russian army was not a standing army, it was a militia based army. Our American viewers will understand that. It takes a lot to train to use a bow. And in order to give missile troops, enable missile troops to fire at the enemy, the crossbow is one of the best ways of doing it because you don't have the 18 years to actually train a longbowman to fire a long bow. And even normal bows, composite bows, it takes a lot of training to use one of them. With a crossbow you can't really go wrong. It's a mechanical device and it's really simple. They tended to be made out of wood, which did tend to warp in winter. So the mechanisms used to go all skewy in winter, which was a bit annoying. The Swedes used steel crossbows, all steel, and they used to oil up. They used to oil them up a lot so they wouldn't jam in the cold. So the Swedish crossbows are actually better than Russian crossbows, although I don't really know how you'd reflect that in the rules.
They won't reflect that in the rules.
No, there's nothing, because they really don't know, I suppose. And given all the figures I've seen painted over the time, I haven't seen any crossbows painted entirely in steel, so yeah. That's for bye. So crossbowmen give the Russians a much needed advantage against knights because a crossbow will penetrate armour, unlike a bow, which won't. So you can actually...
A longbow can.
Yeah, the longbow can at close range or at high shot.
Well, the British were the only ones to really use that.
Yes. By this period of history, no one used a longbow other than the English.
Yeah.
And everyone thought the English were stupid for not hiring peasants to fight for them with crossbows. And then they died with an arrow in their face. And we're really surprised that they'd lost against this army of bowmen when you've got all these posh, shiny knights. Yeah.
Didn't British bowmen used to have their weapons as well?
A mace.
For close combat, yeah.
Yeah, a mace and a knife, a needle knife.
Well, my crossbowmen didn't.
Yeah, they use a needle knife, which is a very, very thin blade, and it was designed to get through the chinks in the armour. You get it into the neck or get it into the eye slit, and you could kill fully armoured knights with this tiny blade.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the knight was stopped from doing that beforehand.
No, because you just shot him through the knee.
A knight.
Good point. Look, you fire at a knight enough, sooner or later it's going to fall over. The French at Agincourt, I love Agincourt. The French at Agincourt couldn't see the English because they couldn't put their helmets up to look. They had to advance on foot with their heads looking at the ground because if they looked up they got an instant arrow in the eye because there were so many arrows coming at them that they couldn't look up. And so they just stumbled forward, and by the time they reached the English lines they get a mace in the face. So they were really surprised. Yeah, but hey, crossbows apparently are better. You know. The crossbowmen used at Agincourt actually didn't do very well. They were just got shot to death by the bowmen because the bowmen could simply outshoot them.
The thing is, a bow comes like fire.
Yeah.
Crossbowmen is fire.
A really well trained crossbowman can put about between 5 and 9 arrows, depending on what type of bow you're using, in the air at the same time. So you've got multiple arrows flying.
A crossbowman takes a bow.
Well, just think to yourself, what happened to Leonidas? How did Leonidas fall at the end?
He got shot. He got destroyed by arrows.
Massive amounts of arrows, yeah. So even heavily armoured knights in lamellar armour, Spartans in lamellar armour, can be taken down by enough bows if
They
you fight
weren't in armour
Yeah, they were.
in the film.
The film's made up.
In the film, he was covered in oil.
The film's made up.
And he had a cloak.
No, Spartans were as armoured as you could physically get. The Spartan armour was so tough that the weapons couldn't penetrate the armour. The weapons used by the Persians couldn't penetrate the armour. So the Spartans were actually quite safe.
Until the cavalry came.
Yeah, they were flanked. They were surrounded in the end. You can't. A phalanx can't fight. Hoplites can't fight two ways at the same time.
They could have just stayed in that formation they were in all along, but they'd start out.
They got round the back.
Yeah, no, but if they stay in that, no, I mean, like, at the end, they stay in the formation in a circle, all covered up with the shields. They could have like stayed there forever, but they'd starve out.
You're gonna get tired at the end.
Yes,
They hadn't been fighting for 3 days, so yeah.
But hell, work was coming, wasn't it?
No. There were no relief coming. The Greek army fled.
Oh yeah, that was
Leonidas
their tactic.
Yes, Leonidas was buying them time. And they left the country. They completely left. And then they destroyed the entire Persian Empire.
Yeah, because that was the trick.
Yeah.
To hide, and then when the Persian fleet came, sink the entire boat without them expecting it.
Yeah. He was genius. Yeah.
And what the Greeks used to love doing to Persian fleet? Ramming.
Oh yeah, they used to ram the oars.
Crack it in half.
Yeah, they wouldn't aim at the they wouldn't aim at the boats. They would actually run down the side of the ship and just cut the oars off, because the Persians often used slaves to row the ships, and so they were tied to the oars and they couldn't shift the oars. So there was nothing they could do when they were rammed with the oars. And also when the Greeks boarded the Persian ships, they'd just kill the guards and say, "Hey, you're free now, you want to fight for us? We'll divide the booty with you." And so the slaves would happily fight for the Athenians.
The Greek army doubled size.
Yeah, every battle they captured more ships. Their ship, with each battle, their fleet got bigger. Whereas the other fleet got smaller.
Well, yeah, because the Persian army is so
big.
The Persian fleet was so big, and the ships had so many rowers in it.
Yeah.
It's basically like a 50 per boat.
Yeah, and you couldn't maneuver. They couldn't maneuver, which is why one of the big pitched naval battles, the Greeks fought rowing in circles.
Oh yeah.
And there was the massive Persian fleet then ended up rowing in circles around them, and all the ships rammed into each other because the Persians weren't trained to do that. The only ships in the Persian army that could do that were the Greek ships, who were allied to the Persians, and they started changing sides pretty early on as well. So
yeah, I'm like, I know a victory for the Greeks. She's looking better than reputation.
Yeah, and the first Greek ship sunk. Sorry, the first Persian ship sunk was actually sunk by the commander of the Persian fleet. She wanted to get out of the way of Artemisia's ship. She was commanded by Artemisia, and she wanted to get away from another ship. So she rammed through one of her own ships. But from the coast, Xerxes thought that she'd just sunk a Greek ship because it was a Greek allied ship she rammed. So he said, "Oh look, our women are fighting better than men."
Yeah, right.
But she'd actually sunk one of his own ships, but he couldn't tell because it was a Greek ship allied to his forces. So
the thing is, he watched the entire thing from above.
yeah, he must have seen his dreams fall away, watching his fleet destroyed.
Well, maybe he shouldn't have destroyed Athens. And
The Greeks warned him.
Yeah.
The Greeks warned him.
If you walk into Greece, you're gonna get consequences.
Yeah,
pretty much.
So the Greeks did warn him. So you attack our tiny little kingdom, we will annihilate you. We will take your kingdom from you.
And then we'll take that and create the Roman Empire.
Now that was much later, and you reach it there. But yes, Yeah, the Greeks did lead eventually to the Roman Empire, but that was not connected to this.
And technically it is, because if the Persians did win...
There would have been no Romans. Good point. Because you would never have had Carthage.
Yeah.
And you would never have had the Roman city-states, yeah. Anyway, that's all besides the point. We're talking about Russians. How dare you go so off track?
How me?
We're going to have to do Greeks now, aren't we?
Well, we always end up doing that. Like, we talk about our topic for like 5 minutes per video, and we start creating the army for the next project.
Yeah, I'd love to do Greeks. I'm just waiting for them to bring enough. No, I would love to bring enough plastic box sets out to be able to do Greeks in 28mm. Because frankly, I'm bored of 6mm. Because we do so much 6mm for our business that I just don't feel excited about painting 6mm anymore. Not about my own figures. I enjoy painting other people's figures. I love all the different ranges that people pick.
And the dumb ones.
I've just done some really cool Spanish. I love Spanish, Napoleonic Spanish. I've done a load of 6mm Napoleonic Spanish. But if it came to doing Napoleonic Spanish for my own, I just wouldn't have the gumption to paint them. I prefer to paint other people's, it's easier. Anyway, that's besides the point. Crossbowmen. So you're going to need crossbowmen in your Russian army. But you will have spare crossbows from your other boxes anyway, so putting these together is going to be pretty easy for you. Crossbows in all rule systems seem to give -1 to armor save rolls or stamina save rolls, so it's beneficial to use crossbows. And against knights, you're going to need it because they have 2+ save in Warhammer, and they have 3+ save on foot, and they've got a 4+ save plus they're tough. So they get a reroll. So in Hail Caesar. So whichever rule system you're using, crossbows are going to.
We're using Warhammer, aren't we? Yeah.
I believe that's it. You want no more questions?
No.
Have you actually asked any questions yet? Or did we just get on talking about Greeks?
Can't remember.
I thought we just talked about Greeks, didn't we? Sorry.
I really can't remember.
Have you got any questions?
I can't remember.
No? Right. Well, the crossbows, as I said, used to break. They actually used to snap in winter. They used to and jam, and the mechanism used to jam. I'm not sure why the Russians didn't come up with something better, given that they lived in winter all the time and would have been used to that sort of thing. Or maybe it's just new technology.
I don't know.
I mean, crossbows were becoming mainstream about 100 years before this period.
Maybe they were cheaper to replace them and more expensive to keep that certain crossbow from running.
It could have been, yeah. I'm trying to think. Crossbows started to be used around about mid 1050 to 1100. They started really making a big show. The Norman army had huge amounts of crossbowmen when they invaded Britain because they couldn't. They didn't want to arm their own peasants. Yeah, never arm your peasants. If you arm your peasants, they ended up getting the king's head cut off. Quite a lot of English kings came to a bad end because of peasants, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, thank you very much for watching. Over to you, Frank.
So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Comment down below what you think of the Russian crossbowmen.
And how well the Greek Navy did against Xerxes.
Yeah, and how the United died.
Well, he just died, didn't he? And he died early on in the battle anyway.
No, he died right at the end.
No, he didn't. They were fighting over his body. The Persians tried to drag his body away, and the Greeks were fighting to keep his body for some reason.
Oh yeah, because it's like a thing. This thing they do, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like you have to bring your body back on the shield.
Yeah, and so the Spartans were actually fighting, defending Leonidas' body. So
this is the end of the video.
Yeah. Anyway,
Don't do it.
And next video will be Greeks.
Yeah.
I'm ordering them immediately. No, sorry.
See ya.
Bye. Have
Bye.
fun.